Every day it was a struggle. Every day it was, you would wake up and you would feel sick. You would feel like flu-like symptoms if you did not have something.
Those were the words back in 2008 of a young woman we talked to who got sober and became a new bride and mother. Cigarettes, alcohol, then pot and pills began at the age of 12, then prescription painkillers, opioids. That started at 17. Later, prison created a forced detox and her life changed. She now had a future. But because of how drugs change the brain, like so many, she relapsed, and not even a year ago lost that battle. She was only in her 30s. And because relapse is the difficult reality, prevention is key, so is early treatment. So rejoining me now is the special agent in charge of the DEA Local New Orleans Division, Stephen Azam, Judge Tim Marcel, who works with Drug Court, Seton Jenkins, who's an advocate for policy change with the Drug Demand Reduction Coalition, and Deacon Louis Bauer with Substance Abuse Ministries, short for SAM. Judge, let's start with drug court.
Yes.
Earlier in the show, so many people said if my child would have had drug court, rather than just jail, it would have changed his or her life.
Drug court is a program for adult criminal offenders who have been identified as having high criminogenic needs and also a high risk for substance abuse disorders, that once they meet the criteria for legal and substance use, then the treatment team determines whether they're admitted to a program. It's a multi-phase program.
And it works better than just going to jail for your crime and then getting back out with no help for this illness?
It provides treatment and services for the individual who is suffering from a substance use disorder, so that they can enter into a life of recovery from their addiction.
And what percentage of people who come in front of your court for crimes have some sort of mental addiction or illness?
65 to 75% of individuals who come in front of our criminal courts have a mental health or substance use disorder.
Yeah. And Deacon Louis, you've said that you asked your congregation in Slidell once, how many people know somebody or have been affected by drugs? What happened?
When I preached at all the masses introducing the SAM group in the parish, I asked by a show of hands how many people here have either been afflicted with or affected by alcohol or drugs in the family. I said, you can't lie, you're in church. And as I looked out over all of the masses that I had that day, I'm looking at 80% of the people with their hands raised.
Briefly tell me what SAM does, kind of a list of the things y'all do to prevent.
Well, we work with the individual, we work with the family members. It's for both the afflicted as well as the affected. It's a family disease. It's a brain disease, but since we are body, mind, and spirit, the facilities take care of addressing the physical aspect of it, but there's a spiritual element, a mental element that sometimes is not being met by some of the facilities. So in 2006, I started the Substance Addiction Ministry in Slidell at St. Margaret Mary Parish. And from that, I created
6 parishes, 6 programs,
There's 6 programs throughout the Archdiocese of New Orleans now.
Should be proud of that. And you said that you're trying to get families and God back to reestablish that connection. And the DEA is also working out in the field with prevention. Let's see, you have the Take Back program where you get drugs that that are old that someone can bring to you. And also talk about Operation Prevention and going into schools.
Operation Prevention is an opportunity for parents, students, teachers to go online and to have some interaction with what are the downfalls of drug addiction, opioid addiction, the opioid problem that we're having in this country today. You can find that at our DEA website.
So the agents go to the schools or the teachers download?
The teachers can download and students can do it, so it's more interactive, based off of a computer, which suits the needs of a lot of young adults, and it gives them an opportunity to kind of engage and get some education on it.
And some of those clips we showed earlier were from the documentary that the DEA did with FBI, Chasing the Dragon.
Right.
And Seton, the coalition, 250 people strong, that's a think tank. Y'all are working on policy. What are the statistics in New Orleans and the greater area?
Well, recently we had a fact-finding report, and there were really some startling statistics, particularly in the adolescent population, which we're very concerned about. For example, we know that there's 2,500 adolescents who have substance use disorders and need clinical treatment, an additional 5,000 that basically need intervention services before they progress to more serious consequences and addiction.
And these are 12 to 18-year-olds, so very young. And by gathering all these data, you hope to change policy by knowing just how bad the problem is. 64,000 people in this area are what now?
64,371 are substance use dependent in the greater New Orleans area. And so we advocate, one of the things that we look at because of that data is the fact that we don't have access to treatment. For example, we do not have, if we do, we have limited access to adolescent treatment. So what are the resources available? What are the resources we need? What are some of the policy issues, both at the local and state level, that we need to look at, like uniform coroners data, for example, as I shared previously.
And we can go into, you know, crime. You're talking about babies born addicted and child abuse and neglect and all this type of things I'm sure you see in court.
Yes, we see it not only in our adult criminal court, but we see it in our juvenile court with youth who are accused of delinquency offenses, in children in need of care cases where parents have children removed due to addiction issues.
Well, I thank y'all all very much for joining us, and I hope people use your services to prevent future drug users. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll be back with more details on ways to find help.